5 Thanksgivings ago, I was piling my plate high with turkey and gravy when I looked across the table to my vegetarian cousins and said, "But don't you miss bacon?" And now I'm vegan. The conversation of veganism is more important than ever because we all mutually benefit from the reduction of animal suffering, a healthier planet, and the improvement of health in our individuals and our communities. Not only have I watched several documentaries and done thorough research on the benefits of veganism, I also have personal experience with it. I've been vegan for 2 years and vegetarian for 5, so I'll be speaking from the perspective of someone who grew up eating meat and dairy just like all of you and has since changed. Everyone should try going vegan. Today I'm going to persuade you by talking about the consequences of eating animal products on animals, the environment, and our health. First, eating animal products inevitably causes animals pain and suffering, which is morally wrong. Just like humans, animals are sentient beings, which means they have the ability to perceive or feel things. Farm animals like cows, pigs, and chickens are all complex beings who feel pleasure and pain, are capable of socialization, and display intelligence. Despite this, we do not give animals the respect, moral consideration, or even basic right to life that we give humans. This idea is further demonstrated by animal rights activist Ed Winters in this short clip.
Animals. Those who argue in favor of speciesism will often say that because animals are less intelligent, lack the cognitive capabilities of humans, and are unable to display the same level of agency, responsibility, or engage in social contracts, this is why it is acceptable to exploit them. However, this line of thinking could also be used to justify harming human infants. However, not only do we still think that human infants deserve moral consideration, we often give them special consideration because of their lower cognition and agency, while simultaneously justifying giving animals less consideration because of the same reasons.
Clearly, we cannot use animals' lower levels of intelligence and inability to articulate as justification for treating them inhumanely. Moreover, we must address our own cognitive dissonance in the way we view animals and realize that our sensory pleasure, like taste, can never justify the suffering of other sentient beings. In addition to the ethical component, eating animals also causes massive global damage to the planet. The first of which is water use. According to Foodprint, it takes on average 1,800 gallons of water to produce just 1 pound of beef. In contrast, the United Nations Environment Assembly estimates that plant-based burgers require between 75 and 99% less water, 93 and 95% less land, and generate 87 to 90% fewer emissions than regular beef burgers. The second environmental issue is the carbon footprint of animal agriculture. It produces 65% of the world's nitrous oxide and 18% of global greenhouse gas emissions, which is more than the exhaust from all forms of transportation combined. In addition, University of Oxford professor Joseph Poore, who led the most comprehensive analysis of farming, said that a vegan diet is probably the single biggest way to reduce your impact on planet Earth, not just greenhouse gases, but global acidification, eutrophication, land use, and water use. It's far bigger than cutting down your flights or buying an electric car. Moreover, a plant-based diet is much less resource intensive and therefore more sustainable than a regular omnivore diet. The third problem of eating animal products is poor health. According to the CDC, the 2 leading causes of death in the US are heart disease and cancer. A 2019 heart disease study by the NIH had some participants eat 8 ounces of steak a day and the others eat the same amount of white meat or non-meat protein sources. After 1 month on this diet, blood levels of this chemical were measured, which causes high cholesterol and contributes to heart disease. TMAO levels were 3 times higher in those on red meat diets versus white meat or non-meat diets. Second, a 2020 breast cancer study published in the International Journal of Epidemiology followed over 52,000 women and found that those who consumed a quarter to a third cup of milk per day had a 30% increased chance for breast cancer, whereas those who drank soy milk saw a 32% reduced risk of breast cancer. Overall, a whole foods plant-based diet is associated with a lower risk of disease than a typical American omnivore diet. Now that I've gone over some of the problems with eating animal products, I'm going to be talking about the barriers to becoming vegan. First is the huge influence of large corporations and advertising. Ever since we were kids, we've been conditioned to get hooked on animal products. One example is the myth that milk makes you have strong bones, which is seen in the Got Milk campaign. As appealing as these celebrities look, there is actually no scientific proof that milk creates strong bones, and in fact, many scientists have found the opposite to be true. A 2014 study followed 96,000 people over 22 years and concluded that the more milk men consumed as teenagers, the more bone fractures they had as adults, meaning that milk could actually have an adverse effect on bone health. It's all false claims that are part of a larger deceptive and manipulative advertising scheme to drive consumption. The second barrier is the political power that the meat and dairy industries hold in our government. For example, the National Cattlemen's Beef, the International Dairy Foods Association, and others spent nearly $200 million in lobbying from 2000 to 2019, mostly against climate and environmental regulations. In addition, according to a 2013 study from the book Meatonomics, the US government spends up to $38 billion each year to subsidize the meat and dairy industries, with less than 1% going to the production of fruits and vegetables. This money comes straight out of our taxes, so whether you're vegan or not, you're unknowingly contributing to these industries. This might help explain why a block of tofu may be a few cents more than chicken and why oat milk could be a few dollars more than regular dairy milk. But this cost difference points to the systemic issues and corruption that can only be solved if we hold our government accountable. And if we do, we can make veganism more accessible for everyone. The third barrier is culture. I completely understand and respect that some of you grow up in a household that places a huge value on traditional food. I know how much food can connect us to family and our heritage too, but we have to be reminded that all of us and the planet mutually benefit from the reduction of animal products. The reality is that change is hard for everyone. We've been so used to these products because of convenience, pleasure, and tradition. And the fear of learning the truth, facing your own cognitive dissonance, and making drastic changes to your lifestyle may feel overwhelming. But I promise you that education is everything. Learning the truth behind factory farming and learning how to eat a balanced plant-based lifestyle is empowering, not hindering. Now that we've discussed the negative effects of eating animal products and the barriers to becoming vegan, I'm going to dive into the solution. Let me tell you that it is not an overnight change. In my experience, I gradually changed over a few years, actually. When I was 14, I decided to cut out red meat to be healthier, and then a month later, I went fully vegetarian, but I wasn't fully vegan until 2 years ago. Also, I want to be fully transparent and tell you that I slip up sometimes. I'm not perfect. Sometimes I'll accidentally eat bread with eggs in it or vegetables that were cooked in butter, but please know, it is not all or nothing. I think our world would benefit so much more from millions of imperfect vegans and vegetarians than from a few thousand perfect vegans. So if you're interested in a plant-based lifestyle, please do not be discouraged if you can't do it cold turkey. It's perfectly fine to take small steps like I did. Okay, so now I want to share some action steps you can take. Personally, I found it really helpful to watch vegan YouTubers for meal inspiration and motivation. So I would like to share 2 vegan YouTube channels that I would encourage you to follow. The first is Earthling Ed, whose video we just watched a few minutes ago. His main focus is the moral argument of veganism and the ethical treatment of animals. And I think he has a really enlightening and informative stance. Second are Jasmine and Chris from Sweet Simple Vegan. I really like them because they have a good mix of healthy plant-based meals, which are more vegetables, and then they also have more realistic recipes like cookies and mac and cheese and burgers, which I think are perfect for new vegans, especially. Lastly, I want to give you the chance to take a picture of a complete list of vegan YouTube channels and also some TikTok accounts, since I know a lot of you are on TikTok. So here's some more YouTube channels that I would recommend you watching. And here are some TikTok accounts. In conclusion, everyone should try going vegan to promote a healthier planet and more compassionate world. Switching to a plant-based diet can improve your health, significantly reduce your ecological footprint, and help limit the suffering of animals. I am proof that you can be healthy, still enjoy some good food, and yes, get enough protein, all on a vegan diet.